Baking Day by Scott Edward. Bear liked to bake all day. He loved looking at baking recipes and thinking about what he was going to make to eat. Bear loved to try out new things to bake. He would try new recipes for the first time. Baking made Bear very happy. One day, Bear took out his baking book and wondered what he was going to bake. He found a brown cake recipe. "This one sounds easy," he said. Bear began to look for the things he needed to bake the cake. First, he took out the flour. Then, he took out the eggs and the butter. He was starting to take out the blue mixing bowl when he heard a knock at the door. It was Raccoon. "Hello, Raccoon," said Bear. "What are you doing now?" asked Raccoon. "I am making a cake," answered Bear. "A cake? I am good at making cakes. I'll help you," said Raccoon. "Here is the recipe. It tells you how to make a cake." "You do not need this recipe," said Raccoon. "I will show you what to do. Just watch me." Bear nodded his head and quietly watched as Raccoon began to make a cake. Raccoon looked very confident. Raccoon grabbed the flour. He tossed it into the blue mixing bowl along with the butter and the sugar too. There was flour and sugar everywhere. "Now it's time to mix it all," said Raccoon. Raccoon mixed and mixed. He kept mixing, but it was not easy work. Raccoon was getting tired. His arms began to hurt. The cake batter was lumpy. It was a mess. Raccoon stopped mixing and got ready to leave. "Well, I think my mom is calling me home," he said. "I will come back when the cake is ready." After Raccoon left, Bear began to mix the lumpy batter. While Bear was mixing the batter, he heard a voice at the door. "What are you doing, Bear?" It was Rabbit. "I'm making a cake," said Bear. "Oh, I know a lot about cakes," said Rabbit. "You need eggs. I'll show you how to do it." Rabbit grabbed 3 eggs, all at the same time. She cracked 2 eggs into the mixing bowl, but the last egg fell from the table and cracked all over the floor. There were a few shells in the mixing bowl. "A few shells won't hurt," said Rabbit. "Now, let's mix it all together, Bear." They began to mix. The batter was lumpier than before, but mixing the batter was easier. "See? It works," said Rabbit. Bear started to clean the egg that cracked on the floor. He noticed that someone was standing behind the door, was peeking in. It was Hedgehog. "Baking?" he asked. "May I help you?" Bear wanted to make the cake on his own, but he also didn't want to hurt Hedgehog's feelings. "Yes, you may. Thank you for offering to help me," said Bear. "Why don't you butter the pan?" "Oh, I am good at that," answered Hedgehog. Hedgehog stuck his hands into the butter. Then he smeared it all around the pan. He smeared too much butter in the pan. However, Hedgehog did not care. He turned on the oven with his buttery hands. The oven was messy from all the butter. Hedgehog turned up the oven as high as it would go. Now all we have to do is put the cake in and bake it. Then a tasty cake will be made. Oh no, look at us. Helping you bake a cake has made us very dirty, said Rabbit. We need to go home now and wash up. Bear, you just need to put the cake in the oven. We will come back when it is ready. Rabbit and Hedgehog scurried off. Bear was left alone with the lumpy cake batter. Bear took a look around his house. It was very, very messy. There was sugar on the floor, and there was flour everywhere. He dumped the cake batter into the garbage pail. He began to slowly clean up the mess. After cleaning up the mess, Bear locked the kitchen door. Then he took out the recipe and slowly began to read. "Let's see how to make a cake," said Bear. Now, he was ready to make a brown cake. First, Bear measured the sugar. He mixed it carefully with the butter. Next, he counted out 3 eggs and cracked them into the bowl, one by one. Then, he added the flour. At last, Bear mixed all the ingredients together. He brought out the pan that Hedgehog had buttered. He wiped it clean and spread a perfect amount of butter in the pan. The oven was too hot. Bear turned down the heat and put the pan with the batter in the oven. Then he started to tidy the kitchen. Suddenly, Bear heard voices at the door. Knock, knock, knock. "Please open the door, Bear," called Raccoon. "We can smell something delicious." "It must be the cake. We are starving," said the Rabbit. Bear unlocked the door. His friends opened it and entered. The kitchen was clean. They found a cake in the middle of the table. It was a brown cake with a strawberry on top. They even found the table set for a tea party. Everyone was happy at the thought of having a tea party. Bear's friends sat around the table. Bear cut the cake and gave a piece to each of his friends. His friends quickly ate their slices. Then they each ate another slice. Bear was happy to see his friends eating the cake. "How do you like the cake?" he asked his friends. "This is the best cake I have ever eaten," said Raccoon. "Aren't you glad I told you how to make a cake?" "The eggs made it much tastier," said Rabbit. "Well, I had the most important job," said Hedgehog. "I set the oven just right." Bear's friends began to boast about who helped the most. Bear nodded. "Thank you all for your help," said Bear. "I couldn't have made this cake alone by myself." All of Bear's friends nodded as they ate their slices. "Next time, let's bake a cake all together," said Bear. Bear gently smiled as he looked at his friends.